Hi, I'm Luke Searveld. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Gaffer. I'm here with Director of Photography, Art Adams. And we were sent 2 units by 2 different companies. And so we had an opportunity to be a third-party tester. What we have is the Kurve by K5600. And we put an 800 Joker into that. Actually, you kind of break apart the 800 Joker and put it on 2 different sides. And then we have the Hudson Spider. Both versions are sort of like the 3-foot version, so the smaller versions of both these units. And they're parabolics. What I'm used to using are octabanks, so either with a sky panel or with a 800 Joker or whatever. And so this type of sort of fashion lighting, kind of glam look, the Vanity Fair cover, that's not something that I'm doing that often. And if I had something like this, I usually put a front on it. You just used to that soft box look. So I was really looking forward to using these 2 units. I'd heard about the Hudson Spider, and I'd seen the Kurve put together. But have you used these before? Have you worked with these 2 units?
I have not at all. One of the tricks with the breezy light is that you can focus it more so that you can get someone right in front of a background and focus it on them, and then the background will drop off a bit more. I don't see that happening with the Kurve.
Now, to be fair, I've only been on a job that used the breezy once. And, by focus, that's pretty much what they're doing. They're changing where the light is in the reflector. And it's sort of like a dimming situation. You're just optimizing the amount of light that's reflecting by pulling the source inside, deeper inside of the parabolic. And so if you have a large parabolic, then there's more focusing going on. But if you've got a small, 3-footer, there's not a lot of focus. It's just changing how much output you're getting. So it's like dimming the light.
The Kurve seems to make the light more efficient. It seems to be an overall reflector so that it just puts out a lot of light and takes what's normally just a hard source with a bulb and then puts a reflector around it that turns it into a 3-foot wide source. It's very punchy.
Right.
It's got a nice soft quality to it, but it's projecting it.
And we did pull it in and out and kind of,
Yeah, it seems like that does more to dim it than to focus it. I didn't really see a lot of focusing action.
We got sort of a bright ring around the edge of the parabolic, and then it got darker on the inside of it. But then pulling it back in, it kind of filled up the whole thing,
Right, and in the way it is now, the whole inside is full, and it's very bright. It's got some texture to it, but it's a nice, soft, punchy light.
Yeah, and so, and then you had the kind of silver background. The silver fabric in there. Now that's different in the Hudson Spider. They've got the sort of ultra bounce white between the fingers of light.
Right, and I don't think that does as much just because you really, if you're going to have this cone, you really need the light in the center of it in order to catch the light and push it out the front. And the Spider doesn't really have that. It seems like the purpose is that you have all these emitters just facing out, and it's just meant to catch light from the opposite side and add to the effect. Yeah. I think if it was coming through with some diffusion, it would be probably a fairly pretty soft light. The way it is now, we are waving our hands in front of the background, and just with the bare LEDs, you do get some multiple patterns. When you pull people out from the background, it doesn't seem to be as noticeable. So I think if you were using it close to a background, you might want to put a little something in front of it to smooth it over.
Right.
You were showing me there's a China ball option. That seems like would be a really interesting thing because it's so controllable.
Right. And of course, both these manufacturers say that the way this was designed was to use it without any diffusion. Mm-hmm. And then of course, we're so used to putting diffusion on it because we're used to soft boxes, we put diffusion in it. So I really wanted to try them both without. And they have similar quality, although, I mean, the punchiness of the Kurve is really nice. There's a lot of light coming out from the Hudson Spider, but I don't know that it has the same sort of quality as the Kurve.
I think I like the quality and the punchiness of the Kurve more, but the Spider, you can control it a lot more easily and a lot faster, I think.
Right, you can quickly dim it, you can change the color to warm and cool. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for the Hudson Spider because of its sort of versatility. Both units, I mean, an 800 Joker and a Hudson Spider, could be put into a soft ball, sort of gem ball thing, and they can both be made bigger. There's larger curves, there's extensions for the Hudson Spider. 800 obviously can be used in lots of, in a Jolico, in lots of different ways as well as a unit. It's daylight, so coloring it, you'd have to put gel in front of it. You could put, well, maybe not wire, but you could put like a 4x4 in front of that if you wanted to take it down. Here you just dim it.
Right.
And it's using sort of light gear emitters. And so you get that large sort of 4+ ballast that, that's, it is what it is in that sense. But I found it really interesting because I haven't used this sort of Kurve before, having it as someone wear glasses. And it didn't seem to be something that came up as a big reflection. We're used to like putting an 8x or something in front of a Joker, a M18 or whatever, and then you start seeing that and you have to move it and whatever, raise it, bring it more to the side. Here, you just had that big old pop from pretty high. I wasn't seeing it at all in the lenses, which was nice.
Yeah, it had a nice eye light, nice catch light that I really liked.
Yeah.
This one did too, but you could sort of see the arms. You really do need to put a little diffusion in front of this one, just so it doesn't look like a spider in someone's eyes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't use this as an eye light either.
Right.
They both seem like good tools, but for just very, very different things.
Right. And then of course that's so light, you could put it on a pole, you could walk with it, you could have it potentially outside. All those different kinds of different ways you can use them. So in a way, it's not really fair to compare them.
That's not what I say.
But on the other
They're
hand,
the same shape.
They're similar. Yeah. So I thought it was worth a shot.
Yeah, on faces from this far from the background, they looked surprisingly similar.
Right.
It wasn't until you really got close up that you could see a difference. And you can see, actually you can't really see it that much. I mean, maybe the shadows on the Spider are just a whisper harder.
Right.
But the Kurve still has a lot of texture to it because of the nature of the reflector. There's so many ripples and things going on in there that you still get a little bit of texture out of the shadows. But I mean, this doesn't. It's not a replacement for a breezy light, but
right.
It has
there's still different
quality.
tools. Yeah. And then the other thing is that the Hudson Spider was about 2 stops less bright.
Yes. Yeah, this came up at 11 and somewhere like 11 and a third at ISO 800, and I guess we said it was about 9 feet.
Yeah, 9.5 feet to the subject.
And then we matched the distance on the Spider, and the Spider came up about 5, 6.5, so about a 2-stop difference. I think we saw the spec sheet, I think, said this was supposed to come up at around 8.4, which is probably about 8.25, T8.25.
And we're not, being super scientific. We were, we sort of made our triangle.
I had the shutter angle dialed down on the camera, and so based on that, maybe it was a 1/3 to a 1/2 stop less than, in theory, what the spec sheet said.
Yeah.
So well within the range of reason and marketing. So.
Right.
But
No. So interesting tools, and it was just fun to go for that glam look with our talent. That was good enough to come out for a couple hours.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, thanks for joining me on this little excursion, and thank you for watching. and we'll see you again next time. So, what are you seeing here?
Well, this is a trick I learned a long time ago when I was doing a fake Madonna music video for a very low budget project. I had an 8x8 bounce. A 4x8 bounce, and the model was wearing all these really shiny, like clothing reflective stuff, and I wanted to really bring that out. So I punched a hole in the middle of the foam core, stuck the lens through, and then I bounced light off the front.
Right.
And what I discovered was I got this ring light effect where she looked like she was glowing from the inside. And I realized that there was so much light hitting the center of her face, but then the sides of the source weren't able to see the other side of her face. So she got an extra stop of light down the middle. But if you were a little ant crawling around her face and you went off to one side, at some point you would stop being able to see the other side. And that happened on each side, so it brought out the center of her face more and the sides would drop off. And I looked at that and I realized she was standing 8 foot away from an 8-foot wide source. So that's become my kind of standard. Here we've got Chris standing about 3 feet away.
Yep. From a 3-foot source.
3 feet away from a 3-foot source. So if you get the lens right underneath the source, or you can even put the source behind the camera if it's big enough and it'll wrap around, then all the light hits the center of his face, but then the sides of his face don't see the opposite side.
Right.
So this side of his face can't see that side of the light, and this side of his face can't see that side of his light. But the middle of his face catches all of the light.
I got you.
So if you get that distance, so the 3 foot wide light 3 feet away, that usually is a good starting point, and then you can finesse from there. It's really interesting though, you can get a very different effect just by raising the light and lowering the light a little bit at this point. So like if we, if we went up, I mean that's about 6 inches, and it's a much more dramatic effect. This is more James Dean, and this is more kind of cosmetic commercial.
Right.
So a little goes a long way, even though it's a big source close to the lens. You can really get some very different looks just by moving things a little bit. And if this was right behind the camera, if it was big enough, if this is like a 6-foot light, and we put it behind the camera, then the camera itself would block so little of the light it wouldn't make any difference. But he would have this very strong glowing within look, because this would all be gone. This would all be very smooth. So he'd be very bright, but the front of his face would be coming at you because it was popping. It would pop a little bit more than everything else.
Cool. Hey, that was fun. You know what? We can
the same on that.
sure. Let's see. Let's see if our world changes at all.
All right.
Yeah.
It does. It's looking very similar. How's that look to you? Ish.
Yeah. We definitely, and you're looking through that, and and you have kind of the point in your eye is kind of a frayed thing because of the tendrils.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there, really.
Yeah, some half soft frost or opal or even Hampshire would probably clean that up.
Right.
But very, very similar look. And then also for fashion, it's always nice to pop the exposure a little bit. It's not unusual to
Just to have this a little,
open up a half stop or a stop if the camera can handle it. Because fashion always seems to be a little bit brighter, and it also that also helps make skin imperfections less noticeable.
Exactly. Yeah. Of which there are many.
Oh yeah.
Right now,
So much cleanup. We're about 4 stops overexposed.
Not. Luckily, we've got a young model. All right.
And they'll be coming in next.
Grip.
The beauty is we can cut all that. All right. Cool. I think our work here is done.
This is off. Take the pin off. Alright. Lay down. I don't know. Something like that.